How to stop lusting or checking out women. I'm in a relationship. I'm a 30-year-old man. There have been ups and downs in my relationship like all others, but I love my girlfriend and am definitely attracted to her. Before her and with her, I sometimes found myself lusting, just checking girls out, maybe imagining them naked or fantasizing a bit and just being lustful. Looking at every girl's body and flirting or being too friendly if a girl flirts or gives me attention, even though I'm in a relationship and do not want to cheat. I don't want to give up my love to explore and have fun. I don't want to hurt and damage my future with my woman. How do I stop? How did you stop? And those in a relationship, how do you avoid flirting or checking girls out consistently? I have therapy scheduled next week and I will bring this up. Edit. My girlfriend found this post and is now shaming me for it. Why even bother trying to improve? I guess concealing things and lying would be better. Edit 2. That was sarcasm for those who might misunderstand. It sucks being demonized for trying to seek help and improve. Expected. Last edit. Thank you all so much. The advice here has been absolutely priceless and more than I expected or could ask for. I will make sure to try these tips and listen to the advice. Story 1. There is an old saying, you cannot control a bird flying over your head, but you can control if it builds a nest in your hair. You cannot control if a lustful thought comes into your head. Being sexually attracted is part of what it means to be a sexually mature male, unless you are asexual. But when the thought comes, you can choose not to dwell on it and not to flirt. Story 2. Flirting or being too friendly when a girl flirts or gives me attention requires caution. This is a blurry line between thinking and doing. For example, if I dream about owning a Lamborghini Countach, a black one with gold-tinted windows, and imagine what it would look like in my driveway, that is a healthy fantasy. However, if I walk around and, when I see a Lamborghini, jiggle the handle to see if it is unlocked, that crosses the line. Taking a couple of selfies standing in front of it is probably also crossing the line. But if I walk by and whisper in my head, vroom vroom, that is likely harmless. Story 3. You will probably never stop noticing, but what you do after you notice is entirely up to you. Story 4. Really, you just have to decide that your relationship is worth more than acting on urges. They do not ever go away, though. Story 5. It is a skill you have to practice. Be mindful of when you are doing it and practice looking away instead of what you have been doing. It gets easier the more you practice. Story 6. This is where your conscious brain demonstrates its power over your baser desires. As long as you have a libido, you will find attraction in other people, whether you are in a relationship or not. The important thing is having the sense and willpower to override any thought of going beyond just looking. Remember how important your partner is to you and how much you care about them and their feelings. Your first thoughts cannot be controlled, but how you react to them is what matters. Being concerned about this is a good sign. It shows you care. I hope your girlfriend saw it that way too when she found this post. Just be open and honest. Take care of yourself and your partner. Story 7. What my partner and I do is we really just say what we are thinking. I might say, that guy looks like a model. Or he might say, that girl must work out a lot. But we both know that looks and beauty do catch our attention, yet our connection is really deep. We are genuinely just complimenting them, and we know who our safe space is. At the end of the day, that is all I can really say. Story 8. Do not feel shame for the first look but for the second. Even though this sounds silly, it is true. The first time you see an attractive woman, it is natural to think about it. Just do not look at her a second time. Lustful thoughts always come on the second look. Keep yourself to that rule, and you will find it easier to control your mind. Story 9. It reduces dramatically once you catch yourself fantasizing about other women and decide to focus on something else. Repeat every time it happens. This gradually weakens the habit and makes it easier to avoid such thoughts over time. It is worth highlighting that these thoughts may never disappear completely but will certainly be easier to manage if they are less frequent or less intense. That being said, the real problem is acting upon those thoughts. It is much easier to avoid acting on them if they are less present, and you will feel less stress and guilt if they occur less often. Story 10. It's good you are asking the question. Looking and even fantasizing is probably okay. but you should avoid flirting because that can quickly escalate. Also, avoid sharing these kinds of thoughts with your girlfriend. Even if you do it out of honesty, if you see a girl with an amazing figure in the street and want to share your excitement with your girlfriend, even with assurances that you love her and have no interest in the owner of that figure, just do not. It will make her feel bad, and you will hurt her, which is probably the last thing you want. One thing I will say is that with age, testosterone drops, and that helps tame the lust. Even though I, at 50 years old, am as sexually active with my girlfriend as I have ever been, I am just less turned on by watching attractive women in the street. Story 11. You know you can control your thoughts and actions to a large extent. The first reaction may be involuntary, but everything after that is a choice. Just look away, think about something else, and do not flirt back. Story 12. I will be honest. I used to be that way in my first marriage. I chalk it up to youth, not marrying the right person, and feeling like I may have missed out on something. That marriage did not last, not due to infidelity but rather substance abuse. I was divorced for a few years, during which I had a great time, but I figured out quickly that sex with someone you do not care about is not great sex. I am older, wiser, and remarried. I am not sure which of those three things has affected me the most, but I have lost all urges for anyone but my wife. I could not imagine being with anyone else, and I am not just saying that. It is a great feeling in life to feel like you have found your person. Story 13. You cannot close your eyes, but you can make the decision not to look intentionally at a woman's body. It is a conscious decision you have to make every single day, and with time and practice, it will get better. Story 14. Other than stopping watching pornography, what worked best for me was thinking about how difficult, stressful, and frustrating dating was. Also, how, if I caught my wife doing what I do, how annoyed I would be. I also found that I looked at and lusted over other women far less after we had been intimate. It seemed like 4 days was the length of time I wouldn't do so. Since my mind works best when solving a problem, I thought about and talked with my wife about how to create a habit of being intimate at least twice per week. Interestingly, that was a struggle at first. How do I get my wife to be more in the mood? I found that this meant I had to focus on her more than I was used to. I would set an alarm to send a cute, flirty text several times a day, randomly send her flowers at her work, figuring other women would be envious until my wife arrive home early and clean, cook, or do something to show I was thinking about her. Not only did this work and my wife felt that I was thinking about her more, but what really started to happen was that I was fantasizing more about my wife and not even noticing other women. Our lovemaking became more exciting and far more enjoyable. We went from "wanna have sex" to "get your ass in here now, I want you," or watching a movie together when she'd go to the bathroom and jump me when she'd return. Or she'd just pause the movie, drop a pillow on the floor, and get to business. After that happened several times a week, I had blinders on and didn't even notice when an attractive woman walked by. My friends would point someone out and I'd be like, yeah, whatever. Hope this helps. Story 15. Correct thoughts that you do not want. For example, if you start fantasizing about another woman, stop the thought and redirect it into a sexual fantasy with your girlfriend instead. If you find yourself checking out another woman, start checking out your girlfriend instead. You are allowed to be lustful with her, so redirect that energy towards her. At least this worked for me. To be honest, I do not know if this is good advice or not. Story 16. Respect for posting this. Lust does not just vanish in a relationship. It takes daily effort and self-awareness. Train your eyes, avoid things that feed the habit, and invest more in a real connection with your partner. If you are Catholic, go to confession. Progress starts with honesty. Keep at it. Story 17. Also, second comment. This condition is part of the work of being in a committed relationship. You know, when couples who have been together for decades are asked how they do it, you often hear that relationships are hard work. This is a key aspect of the effort. Long-term monogamous relationships are not for everyone, but I feel it is the best way to live in my opinion. Story 18. Takes willpower, self-control, and mindfulness. I used to think it was no big deal and not harmful, but at some age it becomes a matter of respecting yourself, your partner, and strangers enough to not gawk. Story 19. I think it is okay to look sometimes. I just do not entertain other women, and I try to be respectful. My girlfriend likes to look with me sometimes too. Story 20. Everyone is different. There are very attractive people out there like in movies and magazines, all like candy. You know the consequences. Your intentions are not to cheat and to be committed only to her. If you're flirting in front of your girlfriend, I think you're already hurting her feelings. I try to imagine what my girlfriend would think of me and reframe my focus. I feel like it's natural too, unless you're going out of your way to please another woman. I'd be surprised to find out my girlfriend doesn't find something attractive in another man. Maybe an accent, strong hands, or something I would have never thought of. I trust her well enough, for her own reasons, not to cheat. I think it goes both ways. Maybe therapy will help or give you better direction in your journey to minimize your lustful urges. Story 21. Hypersexuality can be a result of trauma. Even some forms of attention deficit hyperactivity disorder have this issue. Make sure to look into your emotional health. Story 22. Checking out girls is natural because you have eyes, and all people, man or woman, regardless of gender or preference, by nature appreciate beauty. What constitutes beauty depends on the person, but looking to assess is not wrong in itself. If you are in a happy relationship, remind yourself of that every time you look at someone else. Just because someone looks good does not mean they can or will be compatible with you. If you already have something good going on, why throw it away? Look to appreciate like you would a painting, sculpture, or other piece of art. Say to yourself, that is a pretty woman, and move on. Flirting, on the other hand, requires being civil. If it helps put you in the right state of mind, imagine anyone flirting with you as someone trying to deceive you. You will be skeptical and civil, and that is exactly what you need to be. Story 23. My dad had many relationships. He began to get his life together with his last wife after he was 50 years old. My dad has 12 children with 7 different women. I tell myself that the key to getting what I want earlier in life is to stick with a good woman if I can find one. I look around sometimes, but in the end, I want a peaceful life with a woman I can laugh and be adventurous with. I want to create a life together. I have had many experiences before, but finding somebody who truly cares about me is more important. I have goals in life. The fewer distractions I have from achieving my goals, the better off I will be. Casual relationships are just distractions that prolong achieving my goals. Story 24. The ability to control your own thoughts can take anywhere from seconds to years to develop. The ability to control your actions can vary in a similar way. It is time to start putting in the work. If you are experiencing what feels like actual compulsion, seek therapy. Story 25. As a married man, I often point out attractive women, and my wife points out attractive men. The difference is that neither of us would ever act on it. Feeling lust does not make you a bad person. It makes you human. Have the urge, then express that urge with your partner. Story 26. Attraction is normal. You will not stop finding people attractive just because you are in a relationship. What matters is how you manage your attention and your actions, and you can absolutely train that. The first look versus second look rule others have mentioned is a good practical habit. It is not about shame, it is about attention control. Also, be wary of advice that turns this into the idea that you are disrespecting women just by having thoughts. That is moral posturing, not practical help, and is rarely useful for moving away from unwanted behavior without side effects. Having sexual thoughts about someone is not inherently disrespectful or harmful. Thoughts are private. What matters is what you choose to do with them. Managing your focus and not letting it bleed into behavior that would disrespect your partner is what matters, although what disrespect means differs from one relationship to the next. Cutting back on pornography can help reset your baseline, but do not expect it to magically erase attraction. You are managing your attention, not trying to switch off being a human being. There are plenty of people who consume pornography without this issue, and plenty who do not consume pornography but still struggle with it. If you consume pornography, it can be a good starting point, but it is unlikely to solve the problem by itself because, more likely than not, pornography consumption is a symptom of your attention problem rather than the cause. You are on the right track overall. Do not let people guilt you into thinking you are broken just for being a man with a sex drive. Focus on behavior, discipline, and respect for your partner. That is all this is at the end of the day. Story 27. Discipline. Make it a habit to say, I have no business looking anywhere else today. My eyes are for one only. Do it enough and you will become naturally blind to anyone else who hasn't made merit. It has been one of my longest habits. Story 28. Small choices. When you see something, you are presented with a choice of how you will react to it. Maybe you see something skimpy and it brings a thought to mind. You can choose to entertain that thought or reject it. Then it is simply a matter of building a habit or conditioning. Reject it enough times and you will start to do so automatically, eventually not even having those thoughts when exposed to the old triggers. Story 29. Your girlfriend found this post? How does this happen? Do you really just give people your Reddit usernames? Story 30. You need to learn the difference between looking and leering. You cannot stop yourself from looking. Eyes are drawn to what gives the brain dopamine. That is just how it is. Leering is different. Looking is better described as noticing. Your brain recognizes that something is there and what that something is. But there is a difference between the moment you notice a woman and when your looking becomes creepy. Once you notice, you want to appreciate what you see. It feels nice, like stepping into a bath. You put your toe in to test the water temperature, then put the rest of your foot in to enjoy the feeling. You cannot stop your brain from testing the water, but you can train yourself not to step into the bath. It is not going to feel good. You will feel deprived. That is natural because you are removing a source of dopamine or at least reducing it. Just look away. Recognize that it feels bad, but understand that you need to do it. Practice will make this easier and will develop into a reflex. Controlling your fantasies and imagination is a different consideration. That might be like getting all the way into the bath. Cheating might be like going to the pool. I am not sure how far my analogy will hold up, but you get the idea. Story 31. Honestly, recognizing the issue is already a huge step forward. Our brains are wired to notice, but what matters is the intention and what we do with it. I started by not feeding the thoughts. I do not shame myself for noticing someone attractive, but I actively redirect my focus and remind myself what I actually value. It took some time, but it gets easier when you focus on building emotional intimacy with your partner instead of chasing little ego hits. Therapy helped a lot too. Glad you are headed that way. Story 32. No harm in looking, dude. We're human. Don't leer or make anyone uncomfortable, but it's unrealistic to expect that we stop being attracted to others when we're in a relationship. For the record, my wife feels similarly. If you're having trouble resisting the temptation to act on it, that's a self-control issue. Maybe you don't care about your partner as much as you think. Maybe you're not ready for something serious, or maybe there's another reason. For me, it's not even a second thought to choose my wife over someone else. If you aren't there yet, that's okay. But be honest with yourself and do right by your existing partner by ending the relationship first if it comes to that. Story 33. You're attracted to people when you're single. That doesn't go away just because you're in a relationship. Lust can just be that. Checking people out, finding them attractive is completely natural. I draw the line at flirting, since I'd find it unfaithful too if my partner were to do it. I don't know the boundaries of your relationship, but if your girlfriend doesn't even know about the flirting, she might see it the same way. I assume she knows. Otherwise, you would have put it differently. That said, if you have no intention to cheat, I don't see a problem here other than, it seems you think it is a problem, which makes me think you might unconsciously want to cheat. The way you put it, it seems these thoughts are overwhelming, whether because you have a heavy conscience or because you're constantly thinking about it. Mainly, I'd advise using your libido in your relationship. You have a partner to whom you're attracted, and I would say nothing is a bigger aphrodisiac than love, so channel that into your relationship. Spice it up, try different things, talk about it with your partner, exchange intimate messages, exchange images, whatever. Anything you feel the need to hide is definitely something you shouldn't. Story 34. Start by unfollowing all the bikini models on social media. Stop watching pornography and find a hobby to channel your energy. Story 35. You have to give yourself hard stopping points. Do not put yourself into situations with women where there is no barrier to cheating, for example, at her house alone with her. Being loyal is not 100% willpower. It also involves maintaining good form and boundaries. Story 36. A lot of the time, lust comes from the need for instant gratification. If you come from a past where you were used to getting who you wanted, when you wanted, it can be difficult to change your mindset into a loyal and committed one. Maybe you are used to satisfying an urge that you have issues revealing to yourself. You might be asking how to align your desire with love. Lust by its nature is about taking. Love by its nature is about giving. A hard truth to accept is that the shift will happen when you stop viewing women as objects of desire and start seeing them as whole, complex persons with hopes, fears, and unique stories. Pause for a moment and really look into your partner. See her humanity, vulnerabilities, strength, laughter, and tears. The desire that comes from that place is much softer, deeper, and more enduring. It is not about denying the desire of lust, but transforming it into something that builds instead of consumes. Story 37. Focus on your girlfriend's qualities that you love. Redirect your thoughts to her when tempted. Therapy is a great step to address this. Stay mindful and committed. Story 38. How? It is called maturity and self-control. It takes practice and maybe a failed marriage or two for some. Start ignoring the people who distract you. Look away or not at all. Do not pay attention. Story 39. You have to respect and love your girlfriend enough to go out of your way to avoid situations that can jeopardize your relationship. Story 40. For me, once I learned to truly value my relationships, the lustful thoughts went away. It took quite a few failed relationships before I finally got there. Story 41. Stop being human. You will continue to find others attractive. You will never be able to control intrusive thoughts 100% of the time. Being overly friendly, especially in the hopes that something comes out of it, is what you can help with. Story 42. React to yourself and reflect on your actions. The more you think, pause, and change your actions, the more consistent they will become. Story 43. This could be natural or pathological. If you feel something is not right, it may be that you are seeking validation or have an insecurity and are seeking external validation, especially since you said you are flirting too much, not just checking girls out. Story 44. Commit to marriage. Have more sex with your wife. Keep your distance from other women. Look, but stop there. Join the gym and stay focused and consistent to develop a habit of loving yourself and looking good. The gym helps you gain self-control. Story 45. I sometimes find myself lusting, just checking girls out. This is okay. Being too friendly or flirting if a girl flirts is not okay. Story 46. You do not. You just make the effort to not act on those thoughts. The whole point of a relationship is that you have decided the benefits of having one singular but guaranteed partner outweigh the costs of missing out on others. Story 47. Definitely talk to your therapist about it. They are trained to give better advice. Practically, what has worked for me is shifting focus away and considering how my wife and or that person would feel if they knew of these thoughts. Stop flirting with other people. It will only make things worse. Genuinely, you may need to look at less pornography and masturbate less, but checking out attractive people is not inherently a bad thing. You are married, not dead, and people are hardwired to at least glance at other attractive people. It comes free with your hormones. However, it is the actions that are of concern. Every relationship is different, but in general, flirting or entertaining that attraction beyond glances is a violation of that relationship. I do, and as far as I know, will always have an exceptionally high libido, but how I avoid problems is by trying not to dwell on those thoughts and considering how those thoughts would affect my wife if she knew of them, as well as the person being objectified by them. Intrusive thoughts are normal, but if they are excessive or interfere with your daily life or relationship, talking to your therapist is definitely the right move. Also, while I do not believe in entertaining jealous thoughts, it may be a helpful tool to imagine others viewing your wife that way and use that negative feeling as a metric for how they or their partner may feel if you did. Practically, there is a level of discipline you need to employ. Force yourself not to look by shifting your focus away, and over time it will get easier to do so. Our brains work by reinforcing habits through repetition, which connects to my initial recommendation to avoid pornography. The more you look at sexually stimulating images, the easier it becomes for your mind to conjure them up from lesser stimuli, such as seeing an attractive person, which creates a vicious feedback loop that can lead to pornography addiction. The NoFap community is a great resource if that is something you feel you need to explore. Story 48. How do you stop doing anything? You start by making a decision about what you will allow yourself to do and what you will not. It is the same with desire as with smoking, drinking, eating things you know you should not eat, or habits that might be questionable. You make a decision and then apply whatever effort is necessary to follow through. Or maybe you fail once or twice and suffer some painful outcome that becomes a lesson learned, which will help you the next time. I have done a lot of foolish things and made many mistakes, but I never cheated on a girlfriend. Things like quitting drinking were harder, but I would guess it is the same kind of thing mentally. You have to set boundaries for yourself and stick to them. Many people are not good at that or never developed the mindset or self-honesty necessary. Trying is at least a good thing. Story 49. Accept that you are human. Your biology dictates your attraction towards females of our species. Be an intelligent man and control your reactions in front of your partner. Never act on it. Story 50. Just don't cheat. Urges are normal. There are beautiful people. And you and your girlfriend might sometimes look at somebody thinking, what if? The problem begins when you decide to act on it. Story 51. Divert your fantasies towards your partner. Fantasize about her and direct your desire towards her. Do it consciously enough and it becomes a habit and starts to come naturally. Story 52. Focus on desiring your girlfriend. When you see attractive women, think about touching your girlfriend. Instead of flirting with others, focus on her. You need to train your brain to see her as the object of your desire. Story 53. I guarantee that whatever your therapist says will be significantly more helpful than any response you get here. Story 54. Would your actions be acceptable if another man was doing them to your girlfriend? If not, then change your actions. Do not do things you would not want someone else doing to you or your girlfriend. Story 55. My dad once told me, a healthy man won't stop looking at other women until the day they nail his coffin shut. But being a real man means having the self-control to look without ever touching. It is perfectly normal to look at someone and realize they are attractive. It is even fine to have a fantasy or two. But being a mature adult in a relationship means that you will never act on them. No flirting, no cheating, nothing at all. You do not act on that, ever. She should be completely unaware that you find her attractive. Real men do not cheat. Story 56. Remind yourself, would you want other men thinking those thoughts or checking out your girlfriend the way you do? Story 57. I read this once and it stuck with me. I will share it here. A man ruled by lust will fail his family. A father who cannot control his eyes will raise sons who cannot control their actions. A husband who is distracted by other women will teach his daughters that men are not to be trusted. What does he have at the end? Sadness, emptiness, shame, regret. Story 58. Every time you feel the need to desire a woman, imagine how you would feel if your girlfriend were desiring a man. I hope that helps. Story 59. It is willpower. You are a man in charge of yourself. There is no excuse for saying you cannot handle yourself. The real problem is that you will not change yourself. You have started with the first step by admitting that you have a problem. You will have to keep making progress every day. Story 60. You are probably never going to stop lusting, but you have not cheated. I hope you understand the pain and betrayal cheating causes. You would not want to be cheated on, so you do not cheat. You are clear-minded enough and old enough to hold yourself responsible. At the same time, you have lusted for women probably since you were a teenager. It is natural for you to want to see women as sexual partners, but you have the willpower to counteract those thoughts. Do not criticize yourself too much. The truth of the matter is eventually you get married, and that reduces lust a little. Then you have children, and now you are too busy and tired to lust. Story 61. This is a very natural and instinctive reaction. I am in my 50s and still notice attractive women. I just try to focus on what I am doing or who I am with, and basically ignore them. Story 62. So here is the thing. Some people, most of all, are just built that way. I know you love her and do not want to lose her. You cannot tell me she does not do the same when looking at others. You are only human and you are going to have urges and feelings, and so is she. The key is to always be respectful, put your partner first, and always have open lines of communication regardless. Story 63. First, if you are watching pornography, stop watching it. Completely stop. This will help disconnect the link between looking at a woman and feeling lust. Second, recognizing that a woman is attractive is natural. Simply acknowledge it and move on. Do not dwell or daydream. If you find yourself thinking about that woman, redirect your thoughts to your girlfriend and a very happy moment with her. At some point, you will find that you no longer dwell on other women. Finally, be friendly with people but set clear boundaries. This is easier when you are married because of the ring, but harder when dating. Engaging in flirting or touching with other women is a good way to accidentally cross a boundary you do not want to cross. Do not do anything with a woman that you would not do with a man, assuming you are heterosexual. If you are not, adjust this to a family member or someone else to define your boundaries. Story 64. For me, my wife is the center of the universe. Are there more attractive women? Sure. Are there less attractive women? Sure. But she is my woman, and I have no intention of making her feel any less than a goddess. I have had many opportunities to step out of our relationship, but I have to ask myself if those other women are worth the risk of losing her for a brief encounter with another. The answer is no. The very first time I saw her, I just knew she was the one. I could feel it in every fiber of my being. Then came the next big step. How do I approach her and get her to notice me among the crowd of other guys hoping for a chance with her? The odd thing was, I never had a problem approaching a woman before. I said hello while staring into her eyes. She was so beautiful it seemed like minutes were flying by as I couldn't think of anything else to say, just standing there staring at her. Then she smiled and said hi back. Well, the rest is history. Story 65. Respect for wanting to do the right thing here. The desire to do right in this area is rare and a big part of the battle. You have to be able to acknowledge beauty without letting it control you. If we pretend the beauty is not there, we fool ourselves. If acknowledging beauty turns into desire and lust, we set a trap for our minds, hearts, and eventually our bodies. We see it as strong to have many women, but it is actually weak. Be satisfied with one. It is the best. Story 66. It's called self-control. You will always be attracted to, find women attractive. It is human nature. But just because you think someone is attractive does not mean you have to engage with them. Just keep it in your pants and you will be fine. Story 67. Well, I don't flirt with other women because I simply don't do anything I wouldn't want my partner to do. Lust, however, is human nature. Attractive people are common. It's not about who you find attractive. It's about whom you remain loyal to. You don't have to feel bad about seeing someone attractive when you're out somewhere, as long as it remains just that. Story 68. I would make a distinction between lust and lustful intent. Lust is natural. However, if you find yourself scheming around the feeling, then yes, that is problematic when you are in a relationship. I have heard that focusing on growing your relationship with your partner until they are all you want is the way. I am unsure myself if that is true. Story 69. Attractive women will always capture your attention, but acting on any attraction is where you can make mistakes. You just have to be respectful of your relationship by doing your best not to notice things that are there to attract your attention. Story 70. I think I need to ask sensible questions to understand your situation better, rather than saying you are afraid of a beautiful woman having power over you. Reddit can be unpredictable. Do you have any needs or desires that are not being fulfilled, such as physical intimacy in the way you need? Are you not getting enough intimate time or moments with your partner? Do you have any unrecognized fantasies that you feel uncomfortable admitting to or sharing with your partner? Your situation is quite similar to what I have faced in the past. I found that a lack of physical intimacy was the issue for me. Take time to ask yourself these questions. Only you can solve these issues. There is nothing wrong here, just a lack of awareness. Story 71. Love is a choice, not a feeling. If you love her, you will change your ways and do what is right by her. Look at her and immediately think, this is the attention I should be giving her. And then look away. I ruined my first marriage by doing that, and I will not hurt another good woman like that again. Story 72. The easiest way is not to try to control your urges because that rarely works, but to avoid temptation altogether. You cannot eat a cookie if you do not buy a cookie box and put it in your room. Story 73. From my experience, communication is key. You need to set boundaries or ask her what she needs. Be open to any response and listen to her concerns. Communication is the best answer. Story 74. Here is the short answer. You stop by accepting it, finding out why you feel the need to do so, understanding what that need is trying to tell you, addressing that need, and becoming whole with yourself. Until then, you will keep chasing this and asking the same questions. Confront your ego. Your true self is in conflict with your ego. Story 75. For me, I try practicing absorbing the beauty of a woman I find attractive into myself, almost as if she is blessing me, rather than sending out a signal that I find her attractive and could potentially want something from her. So basically, instead of sending energy out, I just let myself enjoy her beauty without feeling desire. But not going to lie, it is hard to do this all the time. Attraction never lies. Story 76. There are many answers here, some a bit extreme, like having your genitalia locked in a chastity device and having your partner hold the keys or leaving her. In all seriousness, it is okay to look or even fantasize, but do not act on those impulses. It is perfectly normal to look because our instinct is to reproduce. If you are finding it very difficult, you should seek a therapist to discuss this in a frank and open manner. Social media platforms are not likely the best place to discuss this given some of the extreme responses you are receiving. Story 77. It's simple. Avoid the things that make you look or emotionally cheat on your girlfriend. Every act of cheating starts in the mind and how we think. Then it proceeds into action. So, it is better to avoid things that make you look at other girls, such as viewing their pictures. Story 78. Why should you keep it secret? Are you blatantly staring at other women's private parts? That would be problematic even without having a girlfriend. But if you are just checking them out, and as long as you are fine with your girlfriend checking other people out, then just be honest with each other and get it out of your systems. Story 79. First of all, you do not have much control over these thoughts. They are natural. While humans develop to pair bond, monogamy is a construct, a useful one at that, which does not necessarily apply to every facet of our being. Humans are also opportunists, so lust within a relationship really is not unusual at all or necessarily a bad thing. Lust can be a problem in this context if it leads to other thoughts that might compromise a relationship. It is one thing to admire a girl you see in public, but it is another to then fantasize about what if. Obviously, cheating would be the wrong thing to do, and we all know that. However, going into fantasy can divert romantic and sexual energy from the relationship you are in and can even lead to the destruction of that relationship. I suggest being mindful of when you are feeling lust, recognizing it for what it is, forgiving yourself for having it, giving the lust its due time, and then using your conscious mind to say, okay, that is enough, and move on. If you catch yourself being lustful, tell yourself in your mind, I am feeling lust. It is very useful to attribute words to your feelings because it gives your conscious mind a better chance to respond. Remind yourself why you do not want to fantasize about others, and then make an act of love to your girlfriend, however small. Story 80. I try not to let desire linger. It is fine for me to have brief 5-second fantasies that will never jeopardize my marriage. However, if I find myself thinking about one woman too much, such as a barista or a coworker, I try to focus on my wife and create some distance to disrupt the fantasy. I believe playful and flirty behavior is not a big deal, especially if my wedding ring is on and it is more about witty banter than indicators of interest. I trust my judgment. Story 81. I understand. It's always tempting. especially since I am just now reaching my prime, both physically and financially. Many women who did not even dare to look at me in the past suddenly show interest now. Women are more touchy, flirty, and generally engage with me more nowadays. As someone with a strong desire, it is always tempting. But I never forget who brought me to my current state, my girlfriend of 5 years. I cannot change the feelings I have, but I can make sure I never give in or let my girlfriend down by displaying them in front of her. The grass always seems greener on the other side. You will lose a lot if you give in. Story 82. Accept that it is only lust, and that were you to follow your list, post-nut clarity would be intense. Yes, I lust, but what I am not imagining is a life partnership, sharing adventures, supporting each other through grief. The lust sees a fleeting moment, nothing more. Story 83. You are a man who is attracted to women. The lust will not go away. What you need to realize is what you do about it. Do you act on it? No, because you love your girlfriend and are committed. However, you cannot help feeling attraction. That will never go away. Story 84. I am a girl, so I will give a girl's perspective. People look. Girls look too. We are designed to seek to reproduce. Women are engineered to seek attention, and men to give attention. But you need to focus on why you are with your woman, what is great about her, and what she is giving up to be with you, just as she needs to do the same. It is okay to look and even fantasize, but it needs to stop there. You might seek to spice up your relationship with more romance and other efforts to preserve it. But eventually, your woman will get older, and you need to silence the little voice pushing you to find a better, younger partner. Temptation will always be around you. Food, desserts, women, nice cars. Do not focus on what you do not have or never can have. The best outcome for every man and woman is to find a good partner, have children, raise them well, and enjoy the time you have. Everything else is a distraction with short-term gain and potential lifelong regret. Story 85. You have a good desire to keep your eyes and thoughts reserved for your girlfriend. It is truly honorable and refreshing, as many men believe that as long as they are physically involved, they can do whatever else they want. Your girlfriend is lucky to have you. You are describing starting a new habit through greater self-control. New habits take time to form because you are literally building a new part of your brain. That does not mean you should give up because it is hard and will take time. It means you keep going and get back on track every time you fall. New habits form through practice and repetition. Your self-control will get stronger every day. Start today and you will see a huge difference by the end of summer. Story 86. It's okay to be attracted to women. Quietly, it's okay to love multiple people. Assuming you are in a monogamous relationship, just don't hurt your partner. Let your partner be the subject of your desire. If you find yourself attracted to other women, don't beat yourself up over it. Just acknowledge that she is pretty to you and move on with your life. You don't have to make it more than an acknowledgement of beauty. Story 87. Look but do not touch. It is normal to find other women attractive. It is not normal to jeopardize your relationship for a girl you have no romantic feelings for, though. Think of what is important and let it guide you like the North Star. Use my life's motto. Just because you have a penis does not mean you have to be one. Story 88. It may take a few years for you to stop. I was a prostitute in my younger years. It took me to grow older and have children to slow me down. Even then, I still feel desire today, but I no longer act on it. Keep yourself busy with hobbies or activities you enjoy. Try not to spend too much time with friends who have the same issue, as it is easy to fall back into old habits. Story 89. How do you avoid cheating? By not cheating. For your information, my partner and I check out all kinds of people together, but that is it, and we are not excessive about it either. That said, if that is not your dynamic, please keep it respectful and brief. Briefer than the time it takes a gnat to fart. You will be okay. Story 90. Male brain, lizard brain stuff. The best advice I received is that it is not a crime to think about something, other women, or whatever. Just keep it as a thought and never act on it, assuming you want to do right by your partner. If you literally cannot stop scrolling through Instagram thirst traps or pornography, Go outside, touch grass, and get a hobby. Story 91. When I am interested in someone, I only want them. I can see attractive people and feel desire, but my feelings always return to my partner. Story 92. I think there is a huge difference between looking and touching. I'm including flirting with touching. Look all you want. Not finding someone attractive, sexy, or sexually stimulating is nearly impossible. You either do or you don't. It's like looking at my favorite color and trying to tell myself it's not my favorite color. It just is. However, where do you go from there? In fact, I think most women believe we have a mental attachment to the attractive women we see. In my experience, it's like seeing a cool car driving by. Wow, that's a cool car. Is it really true that Indiana Jones is completely unimportant to the plot of Raiders of the Lost Ark? Oh man, I haven't had a chili dog in forever. I don't know how many attractive women I've seen in my 55 years, but it's way more than I remember. That lasts a moment and then I'm off to my next thought. Women find random men attractive as well, but flirting can take a quick turn. Can seem innocent until you flirt with a willing participant. I had a woman I was working with ask me, "So, are you married?" Me, "Yeah." Her, "Happily." That's not good. Any more flirting I may have been doing, even unconsciously, is leading to a very bad place. Story 93. You tell yourself no, like you would talk to a toddler who is reaching for a cabinet he is not supposed to be in. Tell yourself firmly what you expect of yourself, and do not indulge that train of thought. You are in control of yourself. Derail that thought. It is much more impactful if, instead of framing it as not wanting to hurt your girlfriend because you love her, you frame it in your mind as not wanting to be the kind of man who acts and thinks that way. Hold yourself to a standard, lift up your girlfriend in every way, and find a way to respect women so that you do not reduce them to lustful body parts. Story 94. So when I knew I wanted a long-term relationship, I realized cheating was not feasible. I was trying to have sex with every woman I desired, but that was not productive. The list I made kept growing to 27. I needed to make a change quickly. I attended a friend's house party while contemplating how to stop lusting after women. At the party, there were many attractive women interacting and joking with him. I took him aside and asked how many of them he had been intimate with. He said none. I scoffed because I knew the type of guy he was. Then he shared a valuable insight with me. You cannot possibly be intimate with every attractive woman you see. You cannot have only unattractive friends unless you have no self-control. It is okay to have attractive friends, but you have to remember they are single for a reason, and you are not. After that, I was able to commit and no longer saw every woman as an object. There will always be beautiful women, but remember that you also have someone beautiful. Focus on what you love about her and grow from there. Summary. A friend told me, you cannot possibly be intimate with every attractive woman you see. Story 95. How do you stop flirting? I mean, looking is still allowed, but actual flirting? Why? What do you hope to achieve with that? I just don't do that. I have zero to prove, so I don't see why I should flirt with someone. Story 96. I know bringing up religion is a little odd, but the advice I always considered was this. In the Bible, out of the 7 deadly sins, lust is the only one where the advice is to run away. Like someone else said, make sure you don't look at those attractive women a second time. You are not going to resist natural urges. If you keep glancing at those women or hyperfixating, the thoughts will continue. You have to make the active decision to look away as if your life depended on it and you were running away. Story 97. I think if you actually get to know women as more than just beauty or attractive bodies, the energy will change. Women have pasts. They have dreams. They have hurts, insecurities, issues, strengths, and quirks. They are not just bodies or faces or whatever else you are looking at. Reducing women in this way is something people do when they are profoundly threatened by a beautiful woman's power over them. Maybe if you start seeing beyond the bodies, you will not immediately react when faced with beauty. I highly recommend listening to a female podcaster, following a regular woman that you find interesting on Instagram, and having conversations with women you are close to. Get cozy with women as people, and I think you will find a lot of the relief you are seeking. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.